when she was leaving on a business trip, and I called her on video. I saw something scary behind her back. She said it was just a short business trip. 3 days, maybe 4, quick meeting, some site inspection, then home by the weekend. She even showed me the fake itinerary. Outbound flight, hotel address, client names I didn't recognize. She did everything right. No red flags. No weird behavior. Just a kiss on the cheek and a half-full suitcase. Don't forget to water the plants, she joked on her way out, rolling her carry-on to the door. I smiled, waved, told her I'd miss her. At the time, I meant it. The first day was quiet. I came home from work, made some dinner, scrolled through our old photos like some lovesick fool. Everything felt normal. Peaceful, even. She texted later that night. Just checked in. Room's decent. Wi-Fi's crap, grinning face with sweat. I replied something casual. Told her to rest, not to worry about texting too much. She sent a selfie from the hotel bed. Hair tied up. No makeup. Familiar blanket wrapped around her shoulders. It was her. The version of her I knew. Warm. Playful. Real. I stared at that photo longer than I should have. Then I went to bed, alone, thinking how lucky I was. The next night, she called. Video. She never did that on work trips. Said she was too tired or the connection sucked. But this time, she wanted to see my face. She looked fresh, relaxed, hair down, soft lighting. She was sitting on the bed, back against the headboard, one knee up, smiling lazily like it was the most natural thing in the world. I miss you, she said. I smiled. That must be the hotel wine talking. Maybe, she laughed. Or maybe I just miss how safe you make everything feel. I felt a warmth in my chest. The kind that makes you think you've done something right in life. That maybe you finally found the one person who actually means what they say. And then it happened. It was just a flicker in the corner of the screen at first. Movement. My smile froze. Behind her, past her left shoulder, the bathroom door creaked open, slowly, casually, like it had every right to. And then he walked out. Tall, dark-skinned, wrapped in nothing but a white towel slung low around his hips, water beating down his chest, completely unaware or completely uninterested that she was mid-call with someone else. He crossed the room without looking at the camera, opened the glass shower stall, tossed a towel, and stepped in. I didn't blink. My heart stopped, and for the briefest second, I thought maybe I'd imagined it, that it was some sick trick of the light, a shadow, a hallucination brought on by exhaustion. But her face told me everything. The way her smile died, the way her body went still, the way her eyes, wide and terrified, darted sideways, not at him, but at me. She knew. I knew. And now the mask had cracked. Babe, she started. I ended the call. Not angrily, not dramatically, just quietly. I put the phone down, sat back in my chair, stared at the wall like it might have answers. Nothing made sense. And yet, everything did. The random late-night work meetings, the hesitations, the times she didn't want me to visit her office, all the wrong hotel addresses and bad reception. All of it had been leading here, and I had been too in love to see it, too trusting, too proud of myself for not being a jealous guy. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, letting the truth settle in my bones like winter cold. This wasn't a fight we'd recover from. This wasn't a misunderstanding. This was betrayal. Stupid, bold, careless betrayal. And the worst part wasn't even what she did. It was that I hadn't seen it coming. I barely slept that night. My mind ran loops around the image of that man. The way he walked through the room like he lived there. The way she didn't even flinch until I saw him. It wasn't a mistake. It was routine. And I was just a guy back home holding her spot until Monday. The first message came 15 minutes after the call ended. Can we please talk? I didn't respond. A few minutes later. Please. It's not what it looked like. That one made me laugh. Not a real laugh. A short, bitter sound that tasted more like rust than humor. The kind of laugh that escapes when a lie is too pathetic to even entertain. What else could it have looked like? He walked behind her. He was wearing a towel. He stepped into the shower. That wasn't up for interpretation. It wasn't symbolic. It wasn't metaphor. It was fact. Undeniable wet skin fact. I put the phone on airplane mode, tossed it onto the bed, and just sat there in the dark, staring at nothing. My mind wasn't racing. It wasn't even angry anymore. It was quiet. Too quiet. That kind of numb silence you feel right after impact, before the pain sets in. I had loved her, not in the dramatic, obsessive way, not with fireworks or poetry, but in the real, grown-up way, with patience, with trust, with shared grocery lists and sleepy goodnight kisses. And she had torn it down with one careless step into a hotel shower. In the morning, there were 6 more messages. Can you call me, please? He's just a friend. It's not like that. I didn't mean for you to see that. We weren't even doing anything. Please don't shut me out. I love you. That last one almost got at me. Almost. It reminded me of the first time she'd said it, whispered across the table at some overpriced Italian place, when we were 2 glasses of wine in, and the world felt softer than it actually was. I had believed her then, because why wouldn't I? She had said it like she meant it, the same way she probably said it to him. That afternoon, I finally answered her call, not because I wanted to talk, because I wanted to hear what kind of story she would try to sell me. The screen lit up. Her face filled it, puffy-eyed and freshly made up at the same time, a contradiction in real time. Thank you for answering, she said quickly. I didn't know if you ever would. I didn't say anything. She took that as permission to begin. It was what it looked like. I swear, he's an old friend from university. He had a flight canceled last minute and nowhere to stay, and I held up a hand. No stories, just the truth. She blinked. Her lips tightened. Her face rearranged itself into something that was supposed to look sincere. I didn't sleep with him, she said. I laughed again, the same bitter noise from the night before. So, he just walks around your hotel room in a towel? You just casually video call your boyfriend while your friend is stepping into the shower behind you. Her silence was louder than anything she could have said. You didn't even flinch until I saw him, I continued. That's what killed me. You didn't panic. You didn't cover the camera. You weren't shocked. You were just exposed. Her voice cracked. I didn't mean for it to happen. I leaned forward. What did you mean? That I'd find out? Or that it happened in the first place? Tears welled up in her eyes. You don't understand. Things have been hard. I've been lonely. That hit like a slap. Lonely? I said. You live with someone who would have done anything for you. Someone who trusted you enough not to ask questions. And your answer to loneliness was him. She wiped her cheek. It was just once. You're sure about that? I swear. You lied to my face for a year. Why would this be the one truth? Her mouth opened, then closed again. And that was all I needed. I don't need an apology, I said. I don't even need an explanation. Then what do you want? I paused. I want you to stop pretending this was a mistake. Mistakes are accidents. This was a choice. Her voice dropped to a whisper. I didn't want to lose you. Then you shouldn't have gambled me. I ended the call. This time for good. I blocked her number. Not out of spite. Out of self-respect. Because there's a moment when love becomes humiliation. When the person who used to be your home becomes a warning sign. And if you don't walk away, then you'll never stop bleeding. That night, I slept without dreams. No guilt. No images of her face. No questions spinning in my chest. Just silence. And for the first time in a long time, it felt like peace. The silence didn't last long. There's a moment after betrayal. A strange, weightless calm. You think it's peace, but it's not. It's just shock dressing itself as stillness. Because eventually, the noise comes back. And with it, the questions. Not for her. For myself. How'd I not see it? How many nights did I kiss her without knowing what she'd done? What else did I miss? The next day, I took the morning off work. Called in, lied about a stomach bug. The truth was too complicated to explain to anyone, and I wasn't in the mood for sympathetic head tilts or hollow encouragement. I just needed space. Time to think. Time to do what I should have done a long time ago. I started with her drawer. We never labeled it as hers, but that's what it was. Top left under the mirror. Makeup brushes. Skincare bottles. Travel-size shampoos. A few tangled earrings. I dumped the contents into a grocery bag without ceremony. Then came the closet. Her dresses hung like ghosts. Soft, expensive things I'd once complimented, once touched. Now they looked like evidence. Into the bag they went. Perfume bottles. Hair clips. The book she kept on the nightstand but never finished. Gone. I didn't throw anything away. Not yet. I just wanted it out of space. Out of the oxygen. It's funny how grief tricks you. I expected to feel broken. Shattered. Devastated. But I didn't. What I felt was sharper. Cleaner. It wasn't sadness anymore. It was strategy. I opened my laptop and pulled up our shared folders. Photos. Trips. Screenshots of dumb memes we used to send each other. Delete. Every. Last. One. Not in rage. In clarity. If she wanted to rewrite the story, she could do it without my chapters. Then I remembered the call. The video. His body in the background. The towel. The casual walk to the shower. The sound of running water starting before her smile even faded. I had closed the call, yes, but not before my phone screen froze for just a second. And I remembered I had screen recording turned on. It was something I use for work sometimes, to record UI bugs or app demos, and it had still been on during the call. I opened the Photos app. There it was, a 47-second clip. I tapped play. It was worse than I remembered, not because of what he did, but because of what she didn't do. She didn't react. Not until she saw my face change. Not until the mask slipped. I paused the clip and stared at the still frame. Her eyes frozen in that moment of realization. She knew she was caught, and only then did she panic. I didn't know what I'd do with the clip. I wasn't planning to post it or shame her publicly. That wasn't who I was. But I wanted to have it, not for revenge, for truth, because gaslighters rewrite reality. They distort your memory. And I needed something to remind me that I wasn't crazy, that it did happen, that I did see it, that she did lie. A few hours later, her mother called me. We hadn't spoken much before. A few polite conversations, a Christmas dinner once. But now she was crying on the phone, asking if everything was okay, saying her daughter was in pieces. I didn't get into details. I just said she made her choice. There was a pause, then a quiet, "I'm sorry," and that was the end of it. That night, I poured a drink, not to numb myself, to mark something, not a celebration, not a funeral, something in between. I sat on the balcony, glass in hand, and watched the city lights blink into horizon like tiny truths, flickering, constant, distant. And I thought, she came back. This is what healing looks like. No warning, no text, but no finally call. Seeing things as they are and still choosing to live. Close to 11 p.m. I had just finished cleaning the kitchen, still barefoot, shirt half untucked. I wasn't expecting anyone. The sound startled me. I opened the door slowly, half expecting a neighbor, a mistake, maybe even a delivery I forgot I ordered. But it was her, and everything inside me went completely still. She stood in the hallway with her suitcase, wearing the same beige coat she always traveled in. No makeup this time. Her hair tied up messily like she hadn't slept properly in days. She looked drained. "Can I come in?" she asked, voice small. I didn't answer. I just stepped aside. Not because I wanted her inside, but because I needed to see this through. She walked in slowly, dragging the suitcase behind her like it weighed more than she did. The room smelled like her again for the first time in days. That familiar blend of rose and vanilla that used to make me smile. Now it made my stomach turn. She stood near the couch, arms crossed, looking around like something had changed. It had. Everything. She just couldn't see it yet. "I didn't know what else to do," she started. "I didn't want to leave things like that." "You already did." She flinched. "I know. I panicked. After the call, after what you saw, I didn't know how to fix it." "You can't fix it." Her eyes filled instantly. Please don't do this. I'm not doing anything. You did. She sat down without asking. Her voice trembled, but I didn't move toward her. I know I hurt you. I know what you saw looked awful. But I need you to believe me. It wasn't about love. It wasn't even emotional. I was just in a dark place. You were in a hotel room. I corrected. She nodded, wiping her face. I made a mistake. No, I said calmly. You made a decision. A mistake is forgetting to buy milk. A decision is calling your boyfriend while another man is drying off in your room. Silence. She broke it with a whisper. Do you hate me? I looked at her for a long time before answering. No, I said. I don't. That's the worst part. She leaned forward. Then why does it feel like you're a million miles away? Because I am. Her breathing quickened. I came here to fight for us. There is no us, I said, standing now, needing space between us. There's only what's left, and you burn most of that. I still love you. You don't lie to people you love. Her voice cracked. Then why did I come back? Why am I standing here if I didn't love you? Because you lost control, I said softly, and you thought I'd still be here waiting. I walked over to the shelf and picked up the photo frame we once shared, the one I hadn't thrown away yet. I handed it to her. Take this. You might need the memory more than I do. She took it with shaking hands. And for the first time I saw it, the moment she realized I wasn't bluffing. This wasn't a test. This wasn't an argument. This was the end. I don't know who I am without you, she whispered. I nodded slowly. Then I guess it's time you find out. She didn't scream. She didn't beg. She just stood, holding that frame like it might still contain a version of me who'd give her one more chance. I didn't, and she knew it. She wheeled her suitcase out the door without another word. I closed it behind her, locked it, leaned against it, and finally let out the breath I'd been holding since the night of that call. The message came the next morning. I knew it would. People like her never leave quietly, not because they want to fix things, but because they can't stand silence. Can't bear the space where their voice no longer echoes. It was a wall of text, the kind of message you don't read in one breath, the kind that tries to rewrite history, soften the sharp edges, plead for memory. I couldn't sleep all night. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I just want you to understand. I know I messed up. I know I destroyed something that meant everything. But I never stopped loving you, even in that hotel, even in the worst moments. I was lost. You were my anchor, and I let go. You didn't deserve this. You didn't deserve lies or pain. You deserved a better version of me, and I'm sorry I wasn't her in time. Maybe someday you'll remember the good, the way we laughed, the way you held me when I fell apart, the mornings you made coffee before I woke up. I still think of you when I hear our song. When I see your toothbrush still in my bag, I haven't unpacked. I don't think I can. I'm sorry for all of it. I read it once, then again, but something had changed. Not in her, in me, where before I felt my throat tighten, where I would have replayed her words late into the night. Now I just felt still, not numb, just clear. I wasn't angry anymore, and I wasn't waiting for remorse, because her apology didn't give me anything I didn't already have. I had the truth, and I had peace. That was enough. I didn't reply, not because I wanted her to suffer in silence, but because I had nothing left to say. She had written her final chapter, and I had already closed the book. The following day, I deleted the message, not to forget, but because I didn't need it anymore. I had no reason to revisit her pain, no reason to keep her words as evidence, no craving for closure. I wasn't hers to reach anymore. That evening, I opened the window. Spring had started to show itself. The air smelled new. A breeze came through the curtains, soft and unbothered. And for the first time in weeks, I smiled, not because everything was okay, but because I finally was. The apartment was quiet, not the kind of quiet that follows a fight. Thick and heavy, full of unsaid things. This was different, lighter, like the air had finally stopped holding its breath. I walked from room to room that morning with a cup of coffee in hand, noticing the little things. The space she used to take up was finally mine again. No shoes by the door. No earrings on the bathroom counter. No perfume trailing behind in the hallway. It was strange at first, but it wasn't sad. It felt like clarity. I started cleaning, not out of frustration, not in a rush to erase her, but in something closer to ritual, reclaiming. I opened the windows, let fresh air roll in, changed the sheets, reorganized drawers, threw out expired things we had both ignored. There was something incredibly honest about the mess, about facing it, touching it, owning it. Every time I threw something away, an old receipt, a dried-out lipstick, a note she once left in my coat pocket, I felt a little lighter. Not because she was gone, but because I was no longer carrying the weight of pretending we were okay. The first few days alone were quiet, not empty, just simple. I made myself dinner. Nothing fancy. Pasta, rice, eggs. The kind of food that doesn't ask questions. I ate on the couch, watched whatever I wanted, slept diagonally in bed, and for the first time in a long time, I didn't check my phone before falling asleep. No waiting for her to say goodnight. No anxious scrolling. No imaginary timelines of when things would feel normal again. This was normal now, and it felt good. I started going for walks, just around the neighborhood. No destination. Just letting my feet wander through streets I knew, but had stopped noticing. I realized I'd missed a lot. The way the bakery on the corner always smelled like cinnamon at 8 a.m., the old man with the yellow lab who always nodded when we passed, the bookstore that never seemed open but had the same dusty display for months. It wasn't exciting. It was real, and I'd take real over fake love any day. Sometimes people ask, how you move on? Like there's a formula, a list, a secret, but the truth is simpler than that. You move on by choosing not to stay stuck. Not in what happened, not in what could have happened, not in who hurt you. You move on by waking up, opening the window, and letting the day happen, by not checking their profile, by not waiting for them to feel what you felt. You move on by realizing the story doesn't end with them walking away. It continues with you staying. One afternoon, I came across an old notebook. I hadn't opened it in months. Inside were scraps of ideas I used to jot down, plans, business thoughts, quotes I liked, and in the middle of it was a list titled, Things I Want. Eventually, it was written in my handwriting, dated a few months before everything fell apart. There were 10 items. A place that feels like mine. A partner who listens. Honesty, even when it's hard. Slow mornings. Laughter without tension. A dog. Real conversations. Travel that feels like escape, not distraction. Peace at home. To not feel alone next to someone. I read through it twice. And then once wasn't what I expected. I wasn't there maybe yet, because, but for the first I wasn't expecting anyone. I wasn't far. I'd settled into the rhythm of solitude, the quiet mornings, the unshared bed, the silence that didn't ache anymore. For the first time in years, I was okay with being alone. Then I met Mia. It started small. A coffee shop I rarely visited. I was early for a dentist appointment, trying to kill 30 minutes. She was ahead of me in line, wearing a mustard yellow scarf and fidgeting with her phone like she was solving a puzzle in her head. She ordered chamomile tea and an almond croissant. When it was my turn, I said, I'll have what she's having, without thinking. She turned, smiled. It's a calming choice. I nodded. It's been a chaotic morning. Same, she said, but chamomile makes everything seem less dramatic. That was it. Just 2 sentences. But for some reason, I thought about her all day. I didn't see her again for a week. And then, same coffee shop, same scarf, different book in hand. She recognized me. You survived the chaos? Still trying. We talked for 10 minutes that time. About weather. About tea. About how almond croissants are overrated unless they're warm. She didn't ask my name. I didn't ask hers. And somehow, that made it better. It became a quiet ritual. Every few days, she was there. Sometimes we talked. Sometimes we just shared a table and our silence. It wasn't flirting. It wasn't anticipation. It was ease. One day, she asked my name. Mia, she said in return. Like the airport. I laughed. You always compare yourself to airports. Only when I want people to remember me. She didn't ask about my past. Didn't look at my left hand for a ring mark. Didn't scan me for damage. And I didn't offer any explanations. It felt good. Like maybe I didn't need to explain anything to be seen. We started walking after coffee. Just down the block, nothing serious. She'd tell me about the book she was reading. I'd talk about the business ideas I never followed through on. She was curious without being invasive, calm without being passive, present without being intense. It was the first time I spoke about the future out loud without hearing Jennifer's name echo inside my head. And that's when I knew something was different. One morning, Mia said, "You're very still, you know that?" I raised an eyebrow. Still. Yeah, still. You don't talk with your hands. You don't fidget. But your eyes move like you're always processing something. I didn't know what to say to that. She continued, "Still people are either really grounded or they've seen too much." I sipped my coffee. "What do you think I am?" "I think you're still rebuilding." I smiled. That obvious? Only to someone who's been there. We didn't rush into anything. No dramatic first kiss in the rain. Number 3 a.m. phone calls confessing buried emotions. Just quiet consistency. She'd show up. I'd show up. And somewhere in between, something real started growing. Not to replace what I'd lost, but to show me that some things, the good things, don't have to come wrapped in pain. The first time she touched my hand, it was mid-sentence. I was saying something about a movie we both disliked, and she just reached out, laughing, and placed her fingers over mine. It wasn't a move. It wasn't tension. It was warmth. And my instinct wasn't to pull away. It was to stay. Later that day, I stood in front of the mirror brushing my teeth and realized I hadn't thought about Jennifer once. Not even in passing. Mia hadn't erased her. She just made space for something else. Something softer. Something real. It hit me while folding laundry. Not a dramatic moment. No song playing. No poetic lighting. Just a soft thump of the dryer, a warm shirt in my hands, and the sudden realization I hadn't thought about her in days. Not her voice. Not her betrayal. Not even that damn hotel towel. She was just gone. Not erased. Just irrelevant. I sat down on the edge of the bed, a stack of clean t-shirts beside me, and let the feeling settle. It wasn't joy. It wasn't pride. It was something quieter. Something steadier. Peace. That rare kind that doesn't knock. It just lets itself in and makes itself comfortable, like it always belonged there, but was waiting for you to clear the space. And I had. Mia texted me a photo of a dog she saw in the park. If we ever get a dog, it has to look this goofy. I stared at it and smiled, not because of the joke, but because of the we. Not long ago, I would have flinched at that word. We. Us. Next. But now it felt possible. Not heavy. Not binding. Just real. I used to think moving on meant forgetting. That you had to scrub your mind clean and burn every reminder. That healing looked like never thinking about them again. But that's not how it works. Healing is when you can think of them and feel nothing. Not hate. Not longing. Not regret. Just indifference. A faint shrug in your soul. That happened. That was real. That's over. Sometimes, I still walk past places that carry echoes of her. The restaurant where we had our first date. The bookstore where she pretended to love poetry. The corner where she kissed me goodbye before that business trip. But now, those places are just streets. Just signs. Just scenery. And I walk through them like I own the air again. Because I do. Mia doesn't ask questions about my past. She doesn't need to. And I don't feel the need to explain. There's no ghost in the room. No name we avoid. No way in my voice when I say before. She lives in the now. And slowly, she's teaching me how to do the same. We were cooking together when I realized I loved her. Not the movie kind of love. Not the obsession. Not the need. Not the escape. The kind of love that lets you be quiet in the same room and still feel whole. The kind of love that doesn't try to fix you because it never asks for perfect. The kind that doesn't trigger the past. It rewrites what love is supposed to feel like. And when she turned to hand me the salt, laughing at how I'd burned the onions again, I caught myself staring, not at her beauty, at her presence. She was here, and so was I. Finally, fully. That night, before bed, I scrolled through my phone one last time. I passed her name in the blocked list, Jennifer, and this time I didn't feel bitterness. I just felt done. I held my thumb over the screen for a second, then tapped. Delete contact. No hesitation. No second thought. Just a breath. And then nothing. I turned off the light. Rolled over. Mia tucked in beside me. Already asleep, her breathing slow and steady. I closed my eyes. And for the first time in a long, long time, I didn't look back. It came on a Tuesday. A random workday. Clear skies. Nothing unusual. I was between meetings, sipping cold coffee and half-reading emails when I saw it. An unread message from Marcus T. I almost deleted it. I didn't recognize the name. It looked like spam. But the subject line froze me. We never met, but I owe you an apology. Curiosity one. I opened it. Hey, you don't know me, but I know who you are. Not in a creepy way, just adjacent. I was the guy in that hotel room. With her. A while back. I didn't know she had a boyfriend. She told me she was single. Said she was just in town for a conference. We'd been talking for a few weeks. She was smart, charming, intense. That night, I found out the truth when she freaked out after the video call. Told me she screwed up everything. I didn't understand. I didn't even want to get involved. But I remember her saying he wasn't supposed to see. I know it's not my place. And I'm not writing to ask for forgiveness. I just wanted you to know the truth. You weren't crazy. You weren't imagining things. She lied to both of us. Anyway, I hope life's better for you now. You seem like someone who didn't deserve that. Marcus. I stared at the screen for a long time. Not angry. Not shocked. Just thoughtful. I hadn't heard her name in months. I hadn't wanted to. I'd buried the story, buried the pain. And now, here it was again, resurfacing not as a wound, but as a footnote. He didn't owe me anything. But somehow, that message mattered more than I expected. Not because it changed anything, but because it confirmed everything. I didn't reply. There was nothing left to say. But I sat back in my chair and exhaled. It wasn't validation I needed. I had already healed. But still, hearing it from someone inside her lie, it brought a quiet kind of closure. The last brick in the wall. The final turn of the key. That evening, I told me about it. Not because I needed to confess. Because I didn't want to keep secrets. She listened, brow furrowed, eyes soft. Then she smiled, took my hand, and said, "I'm glad you told me." That was it. No jealousy. No questions. No digging. Just presence. And that reminded me of the life I live now. One where the past didn't chase me anymore. Later that night, I stood by the window. Same view I'd looked out the night I first saw her lie. The same city. The same lights. But now, I wasn't standing in the ruins. I was standing in something I had built myself. Quiet. Strong. Honest. I thought of Marcus. Of that message. Of her. And I whispered one word. Enough. I woke up to the sound of birds. Not a car alarm. Not a vibrating phone. Just birds. Somewhere outside, they were making the skies sound alive again. Mia was still asleep beside me, one arm wrapped around my chest, her breathing slow and steady. I didn't move. Didn't want to. There was a time when mornings made me anxious. When I'd wake up with a weight in my chest and a knot behind my ribs, waiting for the next lie, the next excuse, the next reason not to trust. But that time had passed. Now I woke up with gratitude. And silence. The good kind. I slipped out of bed and made coffee. Mia liked hers with honey and a splash of oat milk. I still drank mine black, a habit from when I thought bitterness made me tougher. Outside, The world was already moving. But in here, everything was still. And mine, as the kettle hissed and the sun filtered through the blinds. I took a moment to just breathe. There were no echoes in the room. No ghosts. No hidden doubts. Just walls I had repainted. Just shelves we'd filled together. Just a life that felt earned. We spent the morning doing nothing special. We cleaned the apartment. She played music, something soft and wordless. I fixed a crooked shelf that had been bothering me for months. At one point, we sat on the floor, surrounded by books and coffee mugs, and she looked at me and said, "You look lighter." I didn't answer right away, because I knew what she meant. It wasn't about weight. It was about weightlessness. The kind that comes when you finally stop carrying things that weren't yours to carry. We walked to the market in the afternoon, held hands, bought strawberries, talked about whether we should repaint the kitchen cabinets, even though we both knew we probably wouldn't. It was all so simple. And maybe that's what made it feel so profound. Because after everything, simplicity felt like a luxury. Peace wasn't loud. It didn't need to be. That night, as we climbed into bed, Mia curled against me and whispered, "Are you happy?" I didn't need to think. "Yeah," I said, "I really am." She smiled into my chest. "Good. Me too." And just like that, we fell asleep. No tension. No second thoughts. Just sleep. Some stories end with fire. Some with silence. Mine end with a window cracked open, clean sheets, the scent of someone who stayed. Not because I had to, but because I finally did too.